All right, welcome in to Bobby Carpenter's show. Thank you for tuning in today. We got a huge show for you as always. Today, Wednesdays, we got our guy, Mr. AJHawk, right off the jump. And then after that, we're going to have our friends over at RealTruck. Their Chief Growth Officer, Tony Ambroza, is going to join us here in a moment. But first and foremost, let's get our guy, Mr. Aaron James Hawk, onto the program. AJ, I mean, a lot of activities going on this week. I mean, you've got Davante Adams just popping in the middle of Aaron's deal. Like, I mean, you going to have anybody slide in right behind you here this weekend?
I don't have anyone planned, so yeah, no one is up here in the attic with me, Bob, that's gonna get a jump on here. But it's been a wild week in the NFL, hasn't it? I mean, Amari Cooper's gone from the Browns, Davante's coming over to join the Jets. There's a lot of stuff happening. Obviously, college football is awesome right now.
Are we ready for the Halloween event, the shindig? I mean, we're getting right on the cusp. I can taste it, AJ.
Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. There's people here right now getting everything set up, and it's going to be fun. Yeah, I think it's going to be. We switched it up to Halloween this year, so it's going to be an interesting night, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we all know that you love a good stranger, AJ. And hey, at the Halloween party, is there going to be like a little haunted house? Like, what are things that we can expect when we come? And I still haven't got a costume. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, whatever you figure out, we know Schlegs will be amazing. Just your normal attire is somewhat of a costume for some people, they say at times. So whatever you do, Schlegs, we appreciate the support. But yeah, there's going to be a pretty cool like haunted house walk type thing at like the entrance into the big tent. So
touching or no touching allowed.
I don't. For you, Bob, I think there's no rules for you, Bob. Whatever you need. And the chainsaw guys, if they have the chainsaw, we're going to keep the chain on the chainsaw for this one. Hopefully, if you come by.
I love it. I can't wait because the top party mantle in America the throne has been vacant now, and so this is a great opportunity for you to take over. And Schlegs, listen, they'll be talking about those Hawk parties before you know it, all across social media here after this weekend.
Hawk party, Diddy party, man. Like, what are we doing? That's why you said touching. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, Bob. Bob spent some time in the Miami Dolphins. I know he was down in that area. I know there was houses and parties happening all the time. I don't know if you ever stopped by, but I believe you. I believe if you were there, it was strictly just for a fun, just to go have a few drinks and then get out.
Yeah, I mean, no holds bar, AJ. That's my favorite part of it. As we look at coming out this week, we talked a lot of Ohio State, Oregon last week. Buckeyes played well in spots, not as well in other spots. You lose a tough game by a point on the road. Like, recovering from a loss like that in college, we're used to the end, the NFL, you lose games. No matter how great you are, you're going to lose 3, 4, 5 games, even on a way to a Super Bowl. But in college, there's still a broader path. But this is that first year, that emotional letdown, like after a big loss. What's that like?
It's brutal. I mean, you guys know, losing to Texas our senior year was the toughest it gets, especially back then too, where you think, hey, if we lose one game, we're done. Like, we're out of it. We're trying to win the national championship every year. Now I think the initial devastation, disappointment absolutely is there, I think. But like everything is out in front of you. Like, if we go out there and we win the rest of our games, great things can happen. We can go make a run and still all of our goals are still attainable. So that's the good thing, I think, about the 12-team playoff and all that. And I don't know how many teams are going to go unscathed throughout the year. It's a lot of games. Let's see what happens. And man, it was a great game either way. It sucks that we couldn't find a way to win, but man, I hope there's a rematch here.
When you're looking at that Ohio State team, what are some areas in which that you thought they can improve upon? Because now they're coming into a bye week, and then they kind of go onto the gauntlet with Nebraska and then Penn State, so on and so forth. Where are some areas that you think they're focusing on to improve for the remainder of the season?
Man, you always want to, I think tackling is something that as the season goes, as the year goes, you get better and better defensively because you've got so many more live reps in a game. Whether you made some mistakes and you got, out leveraged or whatever, and you missed some tackles, like, that's still something that I think you can bank in your brain and realize, hey, that's not going to happen again. So hopefully you clean up some of that stuff as you go. And like you said, it's a gauntlet. After the bye, Nebraska, Penn State, that's 2 back-to-back awesome tests. So that's a great opportunity. But I think you obviously, defensively, how do you get pressure on the quarterback? That's always a huge thing. Make that dude uncomfortable. Make him, hopefully turn the ball over a few times. But I think they just keep going, keep doing what they've been doing, and don't get caught up in like everything surrounding the, you lost. It sucks. It's brutal. The sky is falling. The sun's not going to come up tomorrow. We get it. We understand how big of a deal it is, but I think the players hopefully have good perspective on that, and they know that, hey, we can still do great things.
Yeah, it's what's interesting about it. You want to make the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket. You like to make dudes comfortable at your house, and so kind of a dichotomy there that we're double helix that we're wrapping around.
Yeah.
You talked about like how tough that can be, specifically in Columbus. You live here now. Just the mood and the emotion, like to balance that out as a player. What is that like to be able to sit there, push through it, and then, especially in this week age where they have a bye week, so you have to eat that lost turd sandwich all week long.
Yeah, that turd sandwich goes for 2 weeks, really, until you get back on the field for your next game. I think players now, though, they've kind of grown up with they've grown up seeing everything.
What about the people on social media just telling them like die Dan die, a little bit of you've got
laces down.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, though. I think guys now, they've grown up with that, where they're kind of calloused to it. I think they understand what it is. Like, yeah, people are going to say stuff online, whatever, great. Like, we don't really pay too much attention to it. It feels like that's what guys are doing now, and they're not getting hung up on, a couple wild cards saying terrible things to them. So it's all part of it, though. Like, I get it. When you're a player, you can control it, and you have some kind of control. Like, I get to go back out there, and I get to go to practice tomorrow and get better, and I get to go to the next game and figure it out. But as fans, you can't really do anything about it. So, I get why people are irrational at times and crazy, but that's what makes you a great fan. I feel like you got to have a good core group of fans like that.
Hey, has the view of an elite team changed? Because now you have, obviously, Texas has looked the best and the most consistent. We had Georgia, Alabama, both have losses, played each other, didn't drop. We played Oregon, only dropped to 4. But you still have this 12-team playoff, and there's a lot of really good teams. LSU's starting to heat up a little bit. Is there a different view of like, because before you mentioned it, AJ, elite means you're perfect. And now you can have a loss, potentially 2, and still be an elite football team at the end when it matters most. Has that changed in college football?
Maybe a little bit, just because you do kind of have, you have a little bit more room for error now if you do drop a game early in the season. And I think Nick Saban, I heard him talk about, like, some of his best teams, they had a loss, and the loss was good for them because they were going along and winning, and things were going well, and things kind of, your habits may change. You may not, be on all your details and doing everything like you normally would. And if you lose, it kind of wakes people up, wakes the coaches up, wakes the players up, and sometimes makes you open your eyes quickly as like, okay, hey, if we don't figure this out right now, like, we're not going to be able to do anything that we talked about.
So where are we at with the youth sports? I mean, is Hendricks done with his football season? Is everybody mellowing out there? I mean, how many games do we have left, and what's the psychological situation been like?
Yeah, football. I mean, so I'm assistant coach in the 6th grade team, and then technically head coach on my boys' flag football team.
Oh.
Things are going well. Yeah, this weekend everything wraps up. It's the playoffs, I guess, in flag football too. So it's a third and 4th grade league, and I have my 1st grader on the squad and my 3rd grader, and then we have some other kids, obviously the rest of the team, to round them out for flag football. Sometimes you run into a team of heavy 4th graders, and I tell you what, it's a long day for us when that happens. But it's fun, though. We won last game. We're going to go into the playoffs this weekend. Hopefully do all right. And Hendricks, we get to play under the lights actually Sunday night for his 6th grade team. So yeah, it's fun. My daughter's playing basketball all over the place right now.
Have we psychologically prepared, like, should you lose in the playoffs and not win the championship, like what that's going to be like?
Oh, we're horrendous losers. Like, every day, yeah, there's crying and punching and fighting just over the littlest things when they're racing in the yard. Or I brought my 2 youngest to practice last night for Hendricks, my 6th grader, and they're racing, and they do Oklahoma drill on the side by themselves for 40 straight minutes. Yeah. And they're sitting there and throwing punches and kicking and losing their mind and throwing the ball at each other if they lose. So yeah, we're trying to, we don't have any answers when it comes to that kind of thing. We're just trying to work through it. And hey, I get it. I appreciate you're competitive and you want to win. If we don't win, we can't take the ball and punt it into the woods and run around and make sure, like, we just got to be able to handle the losses a little bit better, I guess.
Oh, you guys are amazing. What is that? Is that the way you're talking to us now? Is that Coach AJHawk? And is that exactly what these teams need right now? It's like you don't need any yelling. You're just, hey, guys, I appreciate your competitiveness. Or is there some yelling involved in there, AJ?
Oh, there's definitely some yelling involved. I have a quick trigger at times. I always say, like, hey, let's cry when we're happy. Like, I want to cry I cry when I'm happy. We don't need to cry because we're sad or mad. Like, I get it. I understand, but let's try to figure that out. But no, I wish. It's like anything else. After I react and I realize, oh, that was stupid. That was a terrible job of being a parent right there. I should explain I need to explain what I want them to do, or as a coach, instead of just reacting. Yeah. You always, like, 5-10 minutes later, go, that was okay. Here we go. We got to figure that out too. Like, it's always a battle. So, like, that's when I see these NFL coaches and you see, like, yeah, it looks like it's not a lot of fun when you're losing. Like, it's not fun to lose at any age. I get that. Right. At any level, it sucks to lose. And sometimes when you're a coach and you don't get to actually participate, a lot of times it's tougher because it's like, I can't do anything. Like, what am I doing? Like, I need to figure out a way to help these kids.
That's why you yell at the players more, AJ. That's what you said you were perfect at, really getting after them out there, throwing some stuff, blaming them for the loss, ruining your record as a coach. Like, it's all
about me. All about me as the coach. Yeah. Come on now. I can't have any losses as the coach.
Hey, you're the one who has the face on it. I mean, you're freaking AJHawk, for heaven's sake. You can't be having little league defeats. What kind of a coach are you if that's the case? So I've always found out this, AJ, more intensity, more yelling, really play into their emotions. That's better for them. We appreciate the time today. Before I get you out of here, though, our producer said you've got to follow us on X at Bobby Carp Show. He's upset that you're not following our show page.
Okay.
And then also,
I'll do that. I'm sorry, I'm not super active on there, but I will absolutely get on there.
And I'm going to ask you this. I know you're not super active on social media, but there is a group chat that has your guy here, I guess, whatever it would be, to my down below me right there.
Below you.
Yeah, right there.
He's bottom. Yep.
Yeah, soft bottom Schlegs. Myself, John Simon, Nate Ebner. We added you into the Instagram group chat, and John Simon is upset because you haven't responded. I go, he probably hasn't even seen it yet, but there's going to be some of the greatest content that might not be for public consumption that we just find and kind of assimilate all right there. A lot of great memes. You've got Lube Gehrig, Nacho Libre, some great Diddy stuff that you'll see, just a lot of conspiracy theories. It's all there for you. So you're really going to enjoy it. So just get on the little IG, scroll through there, and there's a little deal with all of our little faces on there that you'll want to hop into. All right.
All right. I checked earlier. I appreciate you guys adding me to that because I remember you guys talking about it. So yeah, tell John I'm sorry. I need to check that more regularly, but I know you guys are very active on there. So I look forward to actually, I'll engage now.
You will. Listen, and it'll be worth every second that you spend. The darkest corners of the internet brought right to your face, and you're going to love it. All right, man, go kill it with Pat, and we appreciate having you on. All right, H.
All right, thanks. See you guys.
All right, up next, talk Real Truck each and every week. We do our tailgate talk. Well, this week we've got their chief growth officer, Tony Ambroza, is going to join us. Talk a little Buckeyes, talk a little Real Truck, and they've got a great little giveaway that we'll tell you about as well. A little contest here for you coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Building a home for the people who are worth it. Stepping out, throwing in a line, and dropping the tailgate for a picnic. And finding far-off campsites with the people you're closest to. Upgrade your truck, Jeep, or Bronco with over 1 million parts and accessories. And bring your truck to life. Real Truck.
All right, now getting a little tailgate talk brought to our friends at Real Truck. I want to share a special offer to you brought to us by our friends at Real Truck, making our loyal listeners now through the end of the year. So make sure you listen to this. If you're looking for a truck, Jeep, Bronco accessories, I've got stuff for my truck. I've got stuff for my Jeep in there, Schlegs. all you've got to do for this holiday season, head over to Real Truck and make a purchase of $100 or more, and they're going to give you a free Real Truck hat. How about that? Simply type in the promo code Bobby at checkout. That's realtruck.com. Bring your truck, Jeep, Bronco, bring it to life, soup it up, make it look sweet. Purchase of $100 or more, you get the free Real Truck hat using promo code Bobby. So check that out. Now welcoming in our guy, Tony Ambroza, the Chief Growth Officer for Real Truck. Tony, thank you for spending some time with us on this Wednesday. I know you're a super busy guy, but Schlegel said, hey, you're like his best buddy. So he said, Tony will do anything for me.
Schlegel is the best. No, so this all started with a few text messages, and I got to give Schlegel credit. The hat giveaway, all him. So I'm counting on a lot of hats being given away. I as a Buckeye fan, I would suggest a little retail therapy this week. Outfit your truck, get it going, get it right, get it ready for the big Nebraska game. Dial it in, and don't forget that code, Bobby, and get that free ball cap. So,
hey, Tony, talk a little bit about how this all happens, because I don't think sometimes people realize in our world, college football, professional football, the relationships that build. Bobby and I talk about it all the time, but just, Under Armour, then you're at Carhartt, obviously brands I enjoy, it just so happens, but then you're also a Buckeye fan. But a little bit about, over the years.
Yeah, Schlegs. I mean, now let's see. I think we officially met when you were a Bengal. I still remember that picture that they use once in a while, sending you some nice Under Armour gear, making sure that you were sporting the brand, and got to know you through the years and love what you're all about. And look, love what all you guys are about. The three of you listening to the three of you guys talk. AJ was with Under Armour. We shot a commercial with him when we were launching cleats years ago. So he was one of the original Click Clack members when I was at UA too. So, it's kind of wild. It's like going back in time, just watching the three of you when I get to, on this awesome podcast. You guys are great experts, and your insights are awesome, and you just do things the right way. It's awesome to be a part of it, to support it, and to be able to get the word out about Real Truck and what we're doing.
So what led to your Buckeye fandom, Tony? I mean, I know there's Buckeye fans everywhere. Where are you based out of now? Where are the roots into that? Where was that originated?
So my dad was on the GI Bill. And so I was born and raised for the first 2 years of my life on the campus. They would hand me off between classes. And then if they both had classes at the same time, they would have to, my uncle would watch me, who was also going to school there as well. So literally I spent the first 2 years of my life going to class. I was even in classes. Like I probably have some credits somewhere. I don't know. But so they started there. They run deep. I watched Buckeye games when they were on PBS and they were tape delayed. And literally I'd act sick all fall, so I didn't have to go to church that day so I could watch the game, back in the day too. So, it goes back a long, long way. And carefully I have to say I'm, working for Carhartt Cards based in Michigan. So I've been living, in that state up north. But I still fly the flag, just, it's up the flagpole now, and proudly do so as well. Being born and raised and having a couple of parents and relatives and uncles, all graduates. And I went to school, of course. I grew up in Ohio. I went to school in a little town called Columbus Grove. So we sported the scarlet and gray colors, actually. And a lot of people think it's near Columbus, but it's actually closer to Findlay. And I sported number 36 when I played, because I did play linebacker, but I am a much shorter version. And I went to a very small school. So.
Well, tell everybody. So last week, Tony was out there in Oregon. Give us, he's sending me pictures of the tailgates. Talk about Buckeye Nation traveling. Give us a little bit of insight into how loud that stadium was. I mean, obviously, we know the game didn't go the way we wanted. Still 1 point loss on the road in Eugene. But just share some good highlights about that road trip for you being able to go out there.
Yeah, so I worked for Nike for 6 years too. And some buddies that I ran into, I mean, this is the power of Buckeye Nation. Literally randomly hear him talking about the Ohio State game in the elevator of my apartment building the first month I'm there, and it's in October. And I look at him, I go, "Are you a Buckeye? I'm about to go watch the game." He's like, "Oh, no. We're going to this bar to watch it. That's where the Buckeye Club meets." And I go, "There's a Buckeye Club in Portland? This is 1999. And so we become, thick as thieves friends. He's, and so we organized, he gets all the credit. They organized a reunion, and we had a tailgate, a huge tailgate. One of the guys had like a 72 Winnebago painted, scarlet and gray with Buckeye leaves on it and everything. And we had a number of the players' parents coming by just to say hello and, just to see fellow Buckeyes there. The Buckeye Nation is unbelievable. I mean, we travel like nobody else. It's incredible. Now, that setting, having lived out there, it's amazing. It's 4:30, the sun is setting, you've got the mountains, the weather was perfect. It's loud. It's definitely loud, but I'm going to tell you guys, as somebody who I attended a couple of whiteouts. I think I might have attended one of your games. Did you guys play a whiteout? I'm trying to remember because
It was
The first one.
the first one in 05.
and I was there. I was at that one. I was there. That to me is the loudest environment I've ever been in, louder than concerts, because I couldn't even have a conversation with my buddy next to me. At this game, at least where I was sitting, where all the Buckeye fans were sitting, you could have the conversation. You knew it was loud, so I don't want anyone to walk away from thinking that it isn't. It's just, man, I'm glad we're not playing a whiteout night game, in Happy Valley. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's I think they lucked out but Fox going to the big noon makes it a little bit easier on the team. And I'm glad that you said that, because I've talked to some of the guys. I was trying to get a feel for it, Tony, that's the loudest environment I've been in. Camp Randall gets pretty good. Talking to some of the guys that have transferred in other SEC environments, and they said that was about as good as it gets. Oregon was right up there. So I'm glad that, it was on par with that. But also I think there's something positive about that. You lose a game by a point, obviously do some things well, a couple of things you want back, but now you've prepared for that. So really the rest of the environments, the rest of the season, you're prepared for, and you should be feeling good about.
I think they are. And I would say this, it's a lot better to learn lessons from like holy Buckeye moments. I mean, I think we can all recall that great play. And I'm literally in the end zone and they're driving, and I'm hoping, like, we're all like, is he going to throw a deep ball? Not with 6 seconds left, but this was the play before when they got backed up, right? We're all praying, okay, maybe it's a holy Buckeye moment. Of course, you got the 12 man and they're going to change the rule now, and we're all going to have to live with that. But, sitting there and watching it, it's a tough lesson for those guys to have to chew on. I'm just curious, guys. You were silver bullets, and one of the things that I noticed, I feel like all of the chatter, all of these guys are trying to make great individual plays in these big stage games. And you guys know that defenses have to play as a unit. You have to play as one. You have to fill your lane. You have to play your role. And I sometimes wonder if there's so much pressure they're putting on themselves, because these are great young men. These are awesome. This is an incredible team we're fortunate to have. I just feel like sometimes they're trying to put it all on their shoulders and make that great play on their own. And watching, and watching the game, that seemed to happen a little more often, maybe. You're the experts though, and you guys were silver bullets. I mean, what do you take away from that? And hopefully, what do you think they're going to learn from that experience? Because watching the film, they're going to see it.
Yeah, well, I'll answer that question. I think sometimes, Tony, you can try to do too much. Obviously, the coaches also put you in that position through certain calls that we were able to see. And I think it's just something that when you evaluate the film, you just go back and like, was I trying to do too much? Did I not do my job? And guess what? Like, we're better collectively together just doing our job, right? Like, just have trust in one another. And it's good sometimes for that to be on film against a live opponent, because you don't really get that at practice, because sometimes you already know what they're trying to do, or you're going against a scout team. And that worked fine against the scout team, doesn't work fine against Dylan Gabriel. So those are just things that you find out. But again, the good thing is, and you alluded to it, great young men. They trust each other. And I think sometimes when you have so many guys coming back like they had, they all want to be able to put their mark on the game, when it could just be like, just do your job. Like, I didn't give up to contain. Like, you did it. Like, not going 0-4 in baseball or 0-3 in baseball are not all the same. They could have had 2 sack flies or advanced runners, right? They're not all equal. It's just go out there and do your job, play really fast. I want to get into this. We got like a minute left.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about RealTruck, why you love being a part of it, and what they're doing to bring trucks to life. Because my truck's decked out. It's a lifestyle, right? My truck is a tool for me. Talk a little bit about RealTruck.
Yeah, you guys both live it. So RealTruck's we are, the #1 truck accessory company in America. We are all about people like you guys, tailgating, hunting, fishing, camping, active family lives. Hearing AJHawk talking about, you know, coaching flag football took me back about 12 years when I was doing the same. And let me tell you, when you guys are coaching on the sidelines, I'm sure parents want to beat your teams really badly, right? So I feel for AJ and the kids and you guys as well. No, that's what we're all about. Like, if you're looking for something for your truck bed, we've got everything you could ever imagine, from cargo management solutions to truck bed covers. We've got every step that you could ever want. You know, we've got the fender flares and the bumpers as well, and lighting kits and interior solutions as well. So it's about hunting season, you know, as well, Schleg. So I hope you're geared up and ready and you've got everything good to go, because that's what we're ready to launch and promote too. You know, all the great products we make for people who love to go hunting.
I mean, Tony, I was scrolling through there, you know, when I bought a bed cover for my truck last year, and I was like, okay, I didn't realize we had Jeep covers in there. I have a 98 Wrangler.
Nice.
And it was nice because the cover, the top was the original. It had some silicone on it. It was like patched together. It's like, you know what, might be time to get it. I didn't realize it was on there. So it's like, boom, got a new truck. Hey, you know what? Boom. Also I turned into Schlegs, bought a brush guard for the front, then might as well put a winch on it and really soup it up. So got to take it to the next level. But you guys got some unbelievable stuff in there. And like, I was like looking at some of the bed stuff, like they turn, if you're a camper, like turns the bed of your truck basically like into a little mini camper, which looks absolutely amazing. So you guys, the creativity is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you, man. I love it. And hey, I got to give a shout out too, by the way. We have one of our biggest facilities down there in Massillon, Canton area as well, making the ARE caps, you know, for years and years and years. And we've got a lot of proud, Buckeyes down there too. So wanted to give them a shout out, you know, because we do have a lot of good operations all over the country and right there in Ohio. So that's what we're here to do. And hopefully people will spend $100 and absolutely enter Bobby before in the checkout code, so that they get the free ball cap.
Well, we really appreciate some time, Tony. Thank you so much for sharing with us today and being a part of our program and the unbelievable offer that we'll continue to let everybody know heading into the holiday season.
You got it, guys. Thanks so much. Go Bucks. Love what you do. Keep it up.
Thank you. That's Tony Ambroza, Chief Growth Officer of RealTruck. Talking a little Buckeyes there. Listen, head to RealTruck.com. You spend $100, use promo code Bobby at checkout. You get a free hat. And folks, there's a lot of great stuff on there. Jeeps, trucks, Broncos. They can get it all going. Interior, exterior. Like he said, they got something for everybody. All right. Up next, since we're right here, we're doing some tailgate talk with them. We're going to roll that over and continue to answer some of your questions here next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
Building a home for the people who are worth it. Stepping out, throwing in a line, and dropping the tailgate for a picnic. And finding far-off campsites with the people you're closest to. Upgrade your truck, Jeep, or Bronco with over 1 million parts and accessories, and bring your truck to life. RealTruck.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
All right, Schlegs, we're getting some questions now and some comments. Social media has been a very, very active place this week.
I love it, man.
Imagine. Pretty darn exciting. There was a tweet that I saw today that came out. And it was talking about the difference between, not to diss Day, the difference between Urban and those two is night and day. Said Urban refused to bring up national championships, said it was a distraction. First 2 goals, beat the team up north, win the Big Ten championship. Day's constantly talking about playoffs. And I said that it's one of the most uninformed opinions I think you could have. The scenario, not that you're not focusing on obviously beating Michigan in the Big Ten, but college football, when Urban said that, the landscape was much different of how things operated and the pathway to a national championship, because that's ultimately what you're judged on here, is making a national championship. And The tweet, I believe, is from Ohio v. World. I reposted it, Pat, if you want to be able to find in there. And I said, like, Urban, I don't think would succeed today, Schlegs, in this current environment with how he operated when you were there all the way kind of through his departure. He would have to change significantly, at least from his operations in college. And if you could talk a little bit about that, since you were a part of it, of just the player-coach relationship dynamic of what it is now versus what it was then.
Well, I mean, you didn't have NIL. You had transfers, but not like the portal. The ability to have the control that you want is no longer there because, I mean, we've already seen it. Like, you have 2 times a year where you can have a completely different roster. And who you go into battle with now, you've even seen during the season guys like, I'm out, like, I'm going to take a redshirt year in this year to go into. Now, I will say this. As far as culture, those guys, that stuff's not happening at Ohio State. So, and again, these guys talk about the culture. Somebody mentioned the culture too. And it just totally blew my mind because I think everything of these guys coming back was indicative of the transparency and the culture that they have at Ohio State. And people are, my biggest thing is people are making these rash comments after a 1-point loss on the road to the number 3 team in the country. I mean, I guess I could kind of understand them if you go and get beat by Purdue. But going and getting beat by Oregon, guys, listen, man, like, we didn't have our best day. Matter of fact, Oregon left points on the table. We left points on the table. Like, you got 2 really good teams. And there's another quote about, well, then these guys aren't elite. And my question is, who is the elite of college football? That's why I asked AJ that question. So the difficulty of somebody like Coach Meyer, the older style coaches in this, you got to be able to adapt. And I'm not taking even Dabo in the non-transfer portals. Hell, we've seen it with Army and Navy. Like, they don't get guys in the portal. They're developing guys. But you can have success with veteran-led, fundamentally sound teams, but they're not necessarily going to be ones that could potentially be in the college football playoff. Maybe they remain undefeated, but in today's day and age, college football, transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff, like, minds exploding, minds explode, right? And I would just say this, kudos to Ryan and Mark Pantoni and how they've been able to handle our roster, because year in and year out, we have great teams here. We got to go show that and win some of those big games and win a national championship, and those things will happen. But the ability to do that, the difficulty that comes with it is higher.
What I find interesting too, Schlegs, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, you see stuff that's tossed out and said, listen, Ryan against top 5 teams, I think he's 2-7. Against top 10 teams, he's 8-8. So we're like, big games. I'm like, is there a difference between the 4th ranked team in the country and the 7th ranked team in the country? Really, in theory, not really. Obviously, being 0-3 in the last 3 games against Michigan, one is first, the second game was canceled. He would have been 2-3. So the numbers are the numbers, but stats are also like hostages. They'll tell you anything you want, depending on how you're going to cut them. So I just have this because I've said a lot here on social media, and I've defended. I get a little bit annoyed with what I see out there because there's this rash knee-jerk reaction that's highly emotional. And then the other piece of it, Schlegs, it's this revisionist history where this is how it happened then, and this is how it happened with this guy. You coached at Ohio State from 2011 to 2015. You were there. Yep. Obviously had success. My brother was on that staff in 2014. Was a player there in 2002. You came the next year. I mean, I've been in that building at least 250 days a year since I got done playing in the NFL. And even when I was playing in the NFL, I would come back in the offseason. So I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what the last 20 years of Ohio State have looked like. Because someone accused me that, like, you only say that because, or answering like this because you go in there. I'm like, that's part of it. I see these guys. I only say things publicly that I say to their face. And then I would tell them in person and that we've talked about. And so, yeah, there's an element of that where I'm not going to sit here and say things that aren't true and just be an emotional child. And I understand fan is short for fanatic, and I love the passion, and I think it's great. But the fact that, like, this guy's the worst or this guy's the best and living on the polls, like, that's not what it really is. And that's not how you get better. And people can say what they want. Ryan needs to win that game. Yes, you lost it by a point. That stinks. There's some things that happened in your favor. There's some things that happened against you. How do you handle those moving forward? What do you do? How do you remedy those problems? Because I'm in the solutions business.
Yep.
Talking to some guys like, don't bring me a problem, Schlegs, without bringing me the solution now with it. Because the solutions there's some simple fixes. There's some changes that need to have happen. This roster is still really good. The coaching staff, I still think, is very good. Are there some changes can be made? Absolutely. No one's saying roll the same game plan out there and practice the same way. Take a good, hard look at it. And the reality is last year, there were some issues that came up against Notre Dame that probably got whitewashed a little bit because you won. When you lose, all of a sudden those things are exacerbated, and now you're like a microscope on ants looking at everything with the sun just beating down, frying ants on the concrete. And so maybe you look at things a little too much, and it's like, do we change this? Do we change that? Well, things were pretty good. It's not a tear down and rebuild. This isn't the Dallas Cowboys of what they look like now. It's sure as heck in the Cleveland Browns of where they're at. Like, it's not a tear down. It's a tweak. It's a modify. It's just figure things out a little bit, change some things, find a way to get pressure on the quarterback, find a way to run it a little better, find a way to make sure in the last couple minutes you're not in that position. And even when you are, find a way to execute in there and make sure that there's a clear path and that everyone has a clear understanding. Experience gives you knowledge. Knowledge is the best teacher, but you have to learn from it, and you have to be able to make those adjustments and corrections. So to see everybody fire this guy's garbage, man. Woo! I felt like I was Ric Flair. I have to sit here listening to somebody screaming my name, Schlegs.
Oh,
Tell you what, like that's what you feel. So
I feel more liquor.
Exactly. I take it personally. I take it very personally. And I know you do as well. And a lot of former players do. I want to tell you about this.
Oh,
you need to take this personal, Schlegs. Parents and athletes out there, protect what matters most with X-Sport mouth guards. Trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. X-Sport mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. X-Sport guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including the patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to your grill so it'll fit like a glove for better performance, maximum comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. We got headlines coming up next. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bobby Carpenter. I want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Affinity Whole Health, the leaders in the testosterone replacement industry. I've been on a testosterone replacement program for a few years right now, and I've got to tell you, it's been an absolute game changer. Affinity Whole Health has allowed me to be the best version of myself, both mentally and physically. I loved how easy it was to get started. I booked my free consultation, met with my prescriber, checked my numbers, and Affinity Whole Health designed a program that was customized to fit my needs. So I'm telling you guys, if you have low energy, you want to get rid of that spare tire around the waist or take it to the next level in the bedroom, Affinity Whole Health is the place to get started. So don't wait any longer. 5 minutes of your time, book your free consultation. You're going to love the way you feel. All right, time for headlines. Headlines are brought to you by our friends over at Affinity Whole Health. They are the leaders in testosterone hormone replacement therapy. They can do some great things for your legs. I've been a patient over there at Affinity for, 7 years. They've been doing so much for me. They can do some great stuff for you. If you start looking around and see what they can bring to the table, if you're struggling with weight loss, low energy, muscle loss, check. You have all these issues. Maybe you just want to be more active with your kids. You want to get out there, whether you're a dude, a dudette, Schlegs, they have programs that are fit there just for you. They have semaglutide injections also to help you for weight loss. Don't wait till the start of the new year. I keep telling you this. Do not wait. Do like I did. Go check out my friends right here over at Affinity Whole Health. They're the leaders. They're great. They will customize a plan directly to your needs. And here's the best part, folks. You go to AffinityWholeHealth.com. You have an in-person visit. They're going to tailor a program to you, and then they ship it right to your house so you don't have to worry about it anymore. If you want to go in the office for your treatments, that's great. I didn't have time for that. They'll send it directly to you so you can keep moving along and have the best version of your life. All right, Schleiks, headlines.
Let's do it.
Sorry about that last
No, I love it, man. You're juicy, man. I love this.
Well,
Normally I'm the guy. I like it that you take it personal because it is. Because
I had someone attack, like, you're just saying that because you have access to the facility. I'm like, yeah, that's part of it because I see these guys. I watch them practice. So I feel like I know as much about anything that's going on as anyone that's non-staff related. And so I do take offense. And people that talk a lot of nonsense, if you put yourself in front of one of those guys, they would not say the same thing.
no,
And so if you're not willing to say it to somebody's face, to me, then you shouldn't be saying it at all. Mike Tyson said social media is the worst because it's allowed people to say a lot of things without being held accountable to what their statements are. Because when you have to say it to a person, you ain't going to call Mike Tyson soft to his face. You might write it on a keyboard sitting in your mom's basement or wherever you are. And I get it. Fan is short for fanatic. I love the passion. We love Ohio State. I love Ohio State. You love Ohio State. Everybody's a Buckeye. All are Buckeyes.
Buckeyes.
But just the knee-jerk reactions are what really, really
Well,
sting.
you know what, Bob, real fast? I thought AJ did a good point. Like, I didn't even think about this. Maybe these guys have gotten more calloused
Yeah.
to this and just completely ignore it and just take it for what it is. Like, people just talking nonsense. Because, again, at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to go and show up. They're like, you can say whatever you want to me. You're this and that. The worst is when you got to go sit in a meeting room with all your dudes and watch that play. Like, you know the plays before they get there because you watch the plays. Like that's the worst. Yeah, like he's right there. Say it to my face. I know it's coming. Oh man, that's the worst. So regardless of what anybody does, just letting you guys know out there, like the worst thing is having that said by your coach to your face in the meeting room because the eye in the sky never lies. And that's the other thing too, man. Like, that's why I don't jump to conclusions because I don't know their defense, man. I don't know what they're running or how they're running it. But that's why I always talk about, like, I appreciate their effort. And you lose by one, here we are. So Buckeyes.
Well, and there's a complexity to it. And I think part of it defensively, maybe they're a little too complex in certain areas. And then maybe in the back end, maybe up front, you tighten down the rush a little bit. You get some guys pressing the pocket more. You run some more stunts. You can do some things that are simple corrections, that are simple fixes. People are like, the linebackers are missing tackles. Well, the ends have been playing really wide. So those holes are getting pretty big inside, and to not get too much into like the minutia of like gaps and where guys are lining legs, like going to a G versus a shade. Does that help if you're going to play wider, tightens down the running lanes? Does it impact the pass rush? Well, maybe then you can run some more games. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do up front to be able to do some things. Like, hey, the plan that you executed obviously didn't work. And maybe that's because you didn't execute it well enough. Maybe that's because the plan needed tweaked. Usually it's a combination of both. So if they can get those things fixed up, they should be good. But I do want to get –
let's go. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's go. Come on.
No, it's all good. We do want to get to the landing NCAA rule change. Let me throw this up here, Pat, and take a look at this. NCAA considering a rule change for 12 men on the field. And what they're looking at doing, I believe, is they can't change the yardage right now, but they can change how it's adjudicated and what the penalty is for it, or what the how you handle it. So if you look at it, I think what they're trying to do is making it a dead ball penalty so that it'll stop the clock and you get that time back, as opposed to playing it out and then you lose that time and get 5 yards. Because I had asked somebody, well, why don't they make it and take it back to a 15-yarder like it was before? I guess they said they need to vote on that. That's something that has to happen until after the season. But this is the thing. Like, when you get in situations like this where people have circumvented the rules and they're doing so in a nefarious manner, then I think you have to make these changes. And people can say Ohio State's crying, this and that, whatever. I would say this about any coach on any team that handled it this way, because I don't think that's how you play any high-level sport, let alone the game of football.
Well, I would just say this, regardless. Somebody said that, if Ohio State won, this wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, it would be an issue.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah, well, I understand what there is, but it is an issue, right? Just like the kneeling down that we were talking about at Ole Miss is the issue. When things are done, like they just get exposed, right? Everybody's looking for some type of loophole, some type of competitive advantage. This is significant because of where the time is on the game, like in the game, what you can do. You run at another guy over there, you got 5-on-3. Ain't nobody. What does it do? It forces him to Jeremiah's side, right? And the guy end up jumping out, making a good play. But like that's where you had to go. As you made that read, he came out of his break, boom, he threw it, pass deflected, time off the clock. That matters, man. So yeah, the rule's going to change regardless of Ohio State lost or not, because it needs to be changed.
All right, more Buckeye talk coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And so he's had a wonderful show today. AJ stopped by. Tony Ambroza stopping by of RealTruck, talking about their promo, what they're doing. So go check them out at RealTruck.com. Spend $100 to get a hat for us. But Cam Rising, Utah's 7th-year senior quarterback, Schlegs, he is done for the season. Now, he hasn't played 4 games yet, so he's still eligible for, get this, an 8th year. All right, Schlegs. So he might be older than you, minus the might, when he is a senior. Now, you were 24 years old when you played your final season. I'm guessing Cam Rising might be 25, maybe, dare I say, 26 when all this is said and done. How excited are you for him?
Probably, I was 23.
No, you weren't, dude. You were 24.
No, man. I was turning
25. You were 25 when you got drafted. What year were you born?
Old as shit.
What year were you born? 1980. You're born in 1980.
81.
81. We were drafted in 06, so that's 25.
Damn it. Yeah,
March 1st is your birthday.
I'm old as balls, guys. Listen, road less traveled. Sometimes we just need that year to. I was a late bloomer. Okay. So that being said, I don't even know what the hell we're talking about. Cam Rising, guys, listen, this is bumpy, man. Like, if the guy wants to come back, I mean, that's just run it back for the 8th time. I mean, he could be a PT by now. He could be working on his doctorate by now. I don't know what he actually wants to do after football. And guys,
what do you think he's doing in college? Like, that's my literal question is when these guys go to school for like 7, 8, 9 years, I'm like,
well, I know what Seth's doing. Seth is a freaking academic
on
animal.
His second master's. Like,
yeah,
Seth
I love that. Side nugget, guys. When you guys think about when your kids are going to college, like I talk to my son, right? Like, it's like, hey, listen, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take class credits in high school. Hopefully, where you go to school, they're going to take them. Boom. Proof David Copperfield. That's a semester. You're going to take 15, 18 hours. You're going to get through. You're going to get done playing baseball. You're going to have a year left. You're going to get an MBA. Like, that's just what we're going to do because you're already in school, right? Like, let's do those things. I learned from my own mistakes. I transferred to Ohio State. Hell, they put me in human ecology. I didn't even know what that was. I think it's called home ec. But I had to get a minor in business and a minor in econ. I mean, honestly, Tony Ambroza, when he was 2 years old, went to more classes than I did. And that was before COVID. I'm out there at St. Albans, baby. Here we go, shooting animals, shooting golf shots, just making sure I beat my wife coming home because she was my sugar mama and I was on Pell Grant. So anyways, I don't know. I feel bad. First off, I just feel bad for the kid because I like the way he competes at the game of football. It sucks for him. I don't think that would necessarily be in the cards to be an 8th-year guy.
And we'll see what happens. See if the Kyle Whittingham, they bring him back, what he wants to do. All right, coming up next, final segment. Schlegs gives our parting thoughts as we wrap up the show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like. I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Your parting thoughts here as we wrap up the show.
Hey, parting thoughts. It's National Bosses Day. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't say this, but my people here at the Armory made me the Schleg Day shirt. They got all my sayings on the back. Don't ever forget this, guys. If you ever have the privilege of being able to lead people, treat them with dignity and respect, love on them, serve them, always be thinking about ways that you could put them in positions of success.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you. Tune in live tomorrow at 12:30. Stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.